So this morning's reading is the third letter of John. It's on page 240 in the New Testament at the back of the Pew Bibles. The elder to the beloved Gaius, whom I love in truth. Beloved, I pray that all may go well with you, and that you may be in good health, just as it is well with your soul. I was overjoyed when some of the friends arrived and testified to your faithfulness in the truth, namely how you walk in the truth. I have no greater joy than this, to hear that my children are walking in the truth. Beloved, you do faithfully whatever you do for the friends, even though they are strangers to you. They have testified to your love before the church. You will do well to send them on in a manner worthy of God, for they began their journey for the sake of Christ, accepting no support from non-believers. Therefore, we ought to support such people so that we may become co-workers with the truth. I have written something to the church, but Diotrephes, who likes to put himself first, does not acknowledge our authority. So if I come, I will call attention to what he is doing in spreading false charges against us. And not content with those charges, he refuses to welcome the friends and even prevents those who want to do so and expels them from the church. Beloved, do not imitate what is evil, but imitate what is good. Whoever does good is from God. Whoever does evil has not seen God. Everyone has testified favorably about Demetrius, and so has the truth itself. We also testify for him, and you know that our testimony is true. I have much to write to you, but I would rather not write with pen and ink. Instead, I hope to see you soon, and we will talk together face to face. Peace to you. The friends send you their greetings. Greet the friends there, each by name. This is the word of the Lord.
Well, good morning, everybody. It's great to be with you again. And just let me get this little bit of text sorted out. Sue, am I all right for the camera as well? There's been a bit of moving about here. Perfect. Good. Well, I hope you can see my shoes. There they are. They're blue. And they have a nice leather sock stitched inside them. And actually, I love these shoes, and together with these shoes I've brought a couple of other mementos of my time here in Marple to help us think about this passage this morning. What does it mean to have a healthy soul? I've just realised there's a joke in there, isn't there, which I honestly didn't plan. So healthy soul, S-O-U-L, maybe a healthy S-O-L-E. What does it mean to have a healthy soul? So I brought some things with me this morning, mementos of my time, starting with these shoes, which I do actually have as well as on the screen there on my feet this morning. And I paid $50 for these, just about, in New York, just after I started here at All Saints. So I think I might have done a Sunday, and then we went off on a holiday, and I got these shoes. And I've spent that sum many, many times over, getting them rehealed, resoled, and so on, to keep them going. And the reason I do that, I'm sure I've spent the cost of them many times on the repairs, but they are the most comfortable shoes I've ever worn in my life. And I fully intend to keep repairing them till the top physically peels away from the bit on the bottom. And these shoes, given when it was I purchased them, they've been in many of your houses. They've been with us as we've met for coffee. They've been on my feet as I've served communion. They've been with us as I've prayed with you. And frankly, I couldn't have done my job without them. And has anybody come barefoot this morning? No, so everybody recognises the need for good shoes, don't they? They protect us, they may look nice, and of course they allow us to get stuff done, to climb or to run or to walk. Now, in this letter that Karen has read for us, John, a regional church leader, you might say a bishop, has written to a local church leader, someone called Gaius. And he says to him, I was overjoyed, Gaius, when some of the friends, these are probably travelling preachers, they arrived and they testified to your faithfulness, Gaius, namely how you walk in the truth. So these letters, written about 70 years after the death and resurrection of Jesus, 1 John, 2 John, 3 John, they're written to churches in modern-day Turkey. And the letters, collectively, they tackle opinions about Jesus that contradicted what was taught in the Gospel of John. So there are 4 books in the Bible that go by the name John. The Gospel of John, a summary of the life of Jesus, and then these 3 letters, 1, 2, and 3 John, to churches who had a special place in their hearts for John's Gospel. And the letters are dealing with really a crisis in the churches. John's Gospel teaches that Jesus was God become flesh, become a man. That he was a real physical human being who lived, who died on a cross and was resurrected by God's power. Now, the alternative opinions that were gaining some traction in these churches to which John wrote questioned some of these basic ideas. And they said, well, maybe Jesus was just a kind of apparition, that he was a man on whom God rested in some way. Or his death wasn't a real physical death. He didn't die, and resurrection, maybe that's more of a metaphor. Now, from our position, a long way in the future, 2,000 years, this may seem like a fairly petty dispute. But John's concern, writing the letter, was whether people would organise their lives and their relationships around the true version, the Gospel of John version of who Jesus was. Would they walk in the truth like a great fitting pair of shoes and be marked by love and becoming like Jesus? Or would they embrace this kind of ill-fitting, uncomfortable alternative that he calls in the first letter, 1 John, Antichrist, the opposite of the true Jesus? And those people who are adopting the Antichrist view, he says that they're being marked by hatred. You'll recognise them because they say they love, but when you look closely, they hate. He says to Gaius, who was walking in the truth about Jesus, I have no greater joy than this, to hear that my children are walking in the truth. What's our greatest joy this morning? Is it the Premier League? Is it going out for some decent food? Seeing our mates? All those are great things. This is our greatest joy. This was John's greatest joy, that Gaius was walking in the truth about Jesus. To see and experience here people walking in the truth that Jesus lived, died, and is resurrected. And then we see his life kind of coursing through us like a meandering river. Now, I see this. I'm stood here looking out at however many there are this morning, and I see lives changed by Jesus. Some of that's a lifetime ago, and you've walked faithfully with Jesus for decades. And some of it's more recent. You've met Jesus through Alpha or through somebody befriending you and welcoming you. I see it in people whose faith holds firm in the face of life's joys, life's challenges, and sometimes life's tragedies. So to continue walking in the truth, this is our call to discipleship. That's a popular word, isn't it? Discipleship. What does it mean? It's to walk in the truth of Jesus. So, I'll be gone next week, but remember my shoes. Remember my shoes. And my second Marple memento, there it is, that's my wedding ring. So this is my second wedding ring, nothing for you to worry about, Nikki. Because my first ring got damaged beyond repair. So I was on the lookout for a new one. And I saw that, is it Paul David or Paul Davis down on Market Street? Anyway, I saw this ring and I thought, well, that's quite nice. And I got it. I'm sure you can see it's got these nice 3 bands of gold. They're separated by some delicate rope work. And of course, every time I put it on, it reminds me of my commitment to Nikki and our partnership and the way we share our lives, raise our children and so on. But of course now, because it's my second ring, I'm going to remember forever where and when I got it. So having praised Gaius for walking in the truth, John goes on to commend him for being a partner with others. You may have picked that up in Karen's reading. So we may become co-workers with the truth. The crisis in the churches that I mentioned, it was getting pretty heated. Some people had left, but amongst those who remained, there was this man called Diotrephes. Not too many of those around nowadays, are there? But Diotrephes wanted to control who could and couldn't teach in the church. And John's issue with this was that Diotrephes' list had on it people who didn't really prize the Gospel of John in the way that he felt was so important. So there were people who Gaius was keen to welcome. These are the friends, the travelling preachers. Gaius wanted to welcome them, but they were being shoved out, and the people kind of on Diotrephes' side of things were cold-shouldering those who held John's gospel in such high esteem. And John says, quite withering terms, Diotrephes loves to be first. So there's this power struggle. Gaius welcoming, supporting, and Diotrephes shouldering people out. But it's Gaius who's recognised as doing the right thing, forming relationships and partnerships to teach and to uphold the Gospel of John and the Jesus who's explained, described in there. So whilst this pattern of how travelling preachers work has changed, I wouldn't just go up to a church in Stoke-on-Trent and say, oh, I'm here, give me the platform. Things have changed. But the principle of co-working, that's what John says, isn't it? We should become co-workers with the truth. So like marriage, co-working's not about sentimentality or fleeting commitment. It's something we stick at faithfully through thick and thin. And it's about partnership, working together for the gospel. And I love working, as I said in the little chat there with Daniel, I love working with you. Prayer events, school things, Lent courses, discussing the Bible, PCC. And I encourage you, with everything I've got, to continue being co-workers with the truth. Every week I'm moved by the people who serve at Connect, the people who attend and lead life groups, people who work behind the scenes. One of my, is Jan Crawford here this morning? Ah, she is. I hope you don't mind me mentioning this, Jan. So I did see Jan in Stepping Hill this week, and it was lovely to be with her for 10 minutes. But the thing Jan said to me was, my life group have been fantastic. Co-working with the truth. The all-involved fair last week showcased a number of ways you can do that. Not everybody's gifted in every area. No need to worry about that. There'll be something, an area where you can co-work to help spread the good news about Jesus. And if you've got a brand new idea, Daniel or Leslie, they'd love to discuss that with you and see if it can be developed from a seed idea. So let's co-work with the truth. My third memento, I was tempted to wear a dog collar this morning because that's what vicars do, but I'd rather wear my shirt. So here it is. And I'd like, please, you can be honest here because I'll be gone next week. Scoring this on a scale, let's say 1. If you think my shirt is a 1, go home, cut it up, use it for rags. You can put your hand up. Anybody give it a 1? Oh, yes. You can't be that honest, sorry. So we've got 1. And then if we were to get up kind of, towards 8, 9, 10, you could say, have you ever thought of auditioning for Milan Catwalk and so on? So who'd give it a 5? Who'd give my shirt a 5? 5 or above? Higher? Come on. Oh, higher, yes, go on. It's game show territory now. What about, is anybody going to would anybody give it a 10? This shirt, a 10? Oh, my, yes, a 10. Now, the significance of this is I got this for my birthday when was the first lockdown? 2020. So I got this about a month before the first lockdown. And I was delighted with it. And I think I wore it once. And then, of course, I'm not going to wear this kind of thing around the house. I don't know about you, what you wear at home. But then COVID came and drove a coach and horses through everything, didn't it? Just absolutely everything. So I've not had too many opportunities to wear it. It's improved a bit lately. And to be really honest with you, I've always liked a flamboyant shirt. And I get these from a place in Leeds. And what I like about them is the detail and the artistry, the bright colours. And they give me a bit of a lift when I put them on. It's difficult to feel like miserable when you're wearing something like this, isn't it? They're good shirts. Now, whether Gaius, the recipient of the letter, wore flamboyant shirts, I don't know. But for all of us, there are things that stimulate goodness and joy in our lives, aren't there? And according to this letter, a letter about a healthy soul, one of the things that contributes to that is imitating what is good. The crisis at which the churches to John was writing, it wasn't just some academic college debate about who Jesus was, with one side trying to marshal stronger and better arguments than the others. For John, the problem he saw in these churches that he loved was that the people who were teaching a different Jesus to the one in the Gospel of John were marked by hatred and division. And so he poses a question in the first letter, doesn't he? He says, how, if you claim to love God, can you hate your brothers and sisters? And working kind of backwards from that led him to say, well, maybe there's something wrong with the way they think about Jesus that then translates into the way they treat other people. It echoes the words of Jesus himself. By their fruit you shall know them. So we're not to imitate what's evil, what's loveless or angry, but to imitate what is good. And John gives his own example. He mentions Demetrius, really a contrast to Diotrephes. Demetrius, probably the postman, probably delivered this letter. And John says everyone testifies favourably about Demetrius. And what? So is the truth itself. Demetrius wasn't just a nice guy. His words and actions were consistent with the Jesus in whom he believed. Such people are worthy of imitation. We might use the phrase now that someone models something. They model prayer or integrity or generosity and so on. And whether you really think my shirt is good or not, or we're just being kind, we all know what real goodness is, don't we? Because it's self-evident when Jesus is living and working through people. Just look around this room. There's examples everywhere. And my final memento, unfortunately, I can't show you an item of clothing or jewellery, but my final memento is one word: beloved. Because the quality of love is more than just being good mates, isn't it? And although this is a short letter, John uses the word beloved 4 times in his correspondence with Gaius. The love that marks Christian relationships has its origin in God, in the way those Christians treat each other. What did Jesus say? That the world will know you're my disciples if you love each other. It's warm, it's affectionate, it's faithful. And you, all saints, have treated me as beloved these past 3 years. From the minute I walked in, and as we've grown together. And you are certainly, and have become, my beloved family. Those online as well. Beloved. These are the things that make a healthy soul. To walk in the truth, to co-work with the truth, to imitate what is good, and to express love that allows us, without embarrassment, to say to one another that you are beloved. So will you pray with me this morning? Let's invite the Lord to come and be with us by his Spirit now. Just open our hearts. What does God want to say to us, to you and to me this morning? Lord, I just pray with all my heart for your great life-changing truth of the Lord Jesus to be poured out here on everyone in this building and online this morning. That we would pick up those cues from Gaius, someone about whom we know next to nothing, who walked in the truth. And that, Lord, for every home, family that makes up this church, with all its rich diversity, you'd work in and through this representative body of Christ.